Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first 2023 edition of Clever Conversations, Regiment's educational series on investing in alternative markets. I am Mike Cavanaugh. I'm the co-founder of Regiment, and I'm pleased to have Brendan Walsh here today. Brendan is head of partnerships at Rocket Dollar. Rocket Dollar provides investors with innovative ways to deploy their retirement funds into the alternative investment space. Good morning, Brendan. How you doing?
Morning. Good. Happy to be here from just north of Austin, Texas. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about alternatives today.
Yeah, we're going to be clever today. We're going to have a clever conversation, as we like to say. One thing we did in the past was, we would host the clever conversations later in the day, and we would have a cocktail. It's probably too early for that, but I do have a coffee next to me. I hope you do too, Brendan. Maybe before we jump into all of the benefits of Rocket Dollar in the alt space, maybe you could give just a little background on Rocket Dollar and what you do with them, and maybe whatever background on yourself as well,
Sure.
on your path and journey to Rocket Dollar.
Yeah. So, I used to be in the financial advising industry in Chicago. Kavanaugh, we knew each other well there, obviously worked together in that space. And, we're in 401ks at one point. And when I decided to make the move to Texas, our CEO, Henry, was starting Rocket Dollar in 2018. And I didn't even know about this industry in self-directed IRAs and their ability for retirement accounts to invest into alternative investments like real estate, crypto, private equity, hedge funds, etc. And Henry, as he was starting the company, was telling me the story. It's like, look, a lot of these providers are a little bit old school. Their fees are super expensive. Their technology is kind of non-existent or really needs to catch up. So he said, hey, I'd love for you to come down and join the company. So I did move down to Texas, join the company, and we've really tried to improve that space. One, make it more affordable for clients, traditionally a really expensive space to participate in. Just have good service. So people expect, when they call about their retirement account, if they have an alt deal coming up in 2 weeks, it's getting stressful. They want to make sure someone else is on that line. And we also have a pretty great dev team now. It's, over 12, sometimes 15 people working on these new updates, getting those out to our clients. So we got some really exciting things prepared for this year. We're even adding stocks and bonds this year. So someone can have stocks and bonds right next to their alternatives deal before they participate in an investment and quickly move funds over there.
Yeah, no, it's great. You guys have been growing nicely. It's been fun to watch the growth at Rocket Dollar, from the seat we have as, just a marketing partner, but it's been great to watch the growth. And we'll get into some more of the nuances with the how to access your IRA for alternative investments. But I'm just curious, I don't know if there's a Merriam-Webster definition of what an alternative investment is, but I'd kind of like to get, your definition, or how Rocket Dollar defines an alternative investment.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit different than capital markets people, because capital markets people usually, they'll look for, our clients typically will think of alternative investment of anything they struggle to find on a traditional stocks and bonds broker. So our clients are coming from Schwab, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade. Some people will consider alternative that are on these platforms, but they're still accessing it through a stocks and bonds broker. And we think that's great. It's probably still great investment. What our clients think of an alternative investment, they're typically looking for something they're having a lot of trouble or is totally non-existent on those legacy platforms. Great at stocks and bonds, great menu, usually a small menu of alternatives on those broker dealers. Usually the client cannot access something like individual real estate, a syndication deal. A hedge fund may or may not be on these platforms, but sometimes can take over 6 months or a year to get approved on that platform. Cryptocurrency, precious metals, private equity has been, one of our most growing assets. And, that's a surprise to us, but we look at the data, people don't often speak. They don't want to, tip their hand, so to speak, about what they're investing in. If it's a very um, attractive private equity deal, they don't want the whole neighborhood to know. But in our data, it's real estate, cryptocurrency, and private equity are our top three as far as how many investments and as far as assets. Then after that, it really gets really adventurous to a lot of different asset classes. We have people investing in farmland, in cattle, livestock, oil and gas, trees like the arbor industry. And what we see a pattern is once we get past those first three assets, people might look at something they already have a lot of expertise, personal expertise in. So like private lending, or maybe that cattle example, like I said, that's a cattle farmer in Texas that knows that industry very well. They may not know every asset on TD Ameritrade or Schwab that well, but they do know cattle well. So they'll use a self-directed IRA to invest in that asset that they're already an expert in, and they transfer that expertise into their retirement account.
Got it. No, that's super insightful. And I like the definition that, it's an alt is something you can invest in that isn't on, what you're used to, like a typical, brokerage platform where you can buy stocks and bonds. I like that. It's easy to understand for everybody. It's like you want to invest in something, but it's not in my, my typical stocks and bonds brokerage account. How do I access it? Um, and it's a really good segue into the question about why, why isn't a traditional stocks and bonds broker give access
Mhm.
to these alternatives? And maybe you could just get in the weeds a little about the nuances of, I mean, we don't have to break down the 1974 ERISA laws that were written, but
Mhm.
maybe you could just talk a little about the nuances or the functionality of opening a Rocket Dollar account, a self-directed IRA.
Yeah. So first, I'll address your point about how certain issuers, like we work with some issuers that are on like TD Ameritrade and Schwab, and they also work with our clients at Rocket Dollar. And we work with a lot of issuers that just can't, like, couldn't even dream of getting on those platforms. So with one issuer we talked to, he's very competent at talking to these platforms, these brokerages, and getting his alternatives funds on the platform. The first one for him to get on took, almost like 12 months just to get approved, talk to all the compliance people. And all the while, he had plenty of investors that were accredited, really loved their offering, really wanted to access their offering, and really said, hey, like, I'd love to do this through a retirement account as well, so I could save on taxes. So as he was waiting to get on one of these major brokerages, those investors missed out or had to just go in their taxable funds. Now he got better at that process, and he got that, about 12-month process down to 6 months. That's still a long time if you're doing a raise or you have investors wanting to enter these opportunities just to get active and be able to do that in a retirement account. So at Rocket Dollar, our goal is if we have an issuer or an investor that has their own deal, we want to be able to have our custodian partners approve that asset in a few days and hopefully get that investor into that investment in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And every day at Rocket Dollar, we're trying to get that time to enter an investment and make that quicker and quicker.
Yeah, that's great. One thing that investors have gotten used to in like their traditional stocks and bond brokerage accounts are transparency and
Mhm.
liquidity. And, to a certain extent, the diligence that comes along with, like a listed stock or a listed bond have to meet the listing requirements of the regulators on the exchanges that the brokerages access. Maybe you can speak a little to those three issues and how Rocket Dollar's tackling, the transparency of the alternative investments, and how the custodians diligence the deals.
Yeah. So We have two accounts at Rocket Dollar. One where a custodian will check the investment before any investor goes into that. And then we have an IRA LLC account. It's kind of a unique account called a checkbook account. That one is for more advanced investors that are very confident to analyze their own deals and kind of self-approve their own deals. So I'll speak about the direct custody account where the custodian does approve all these deals first. Especially with returns to liquidity and safety of the investment and validity of the investment, they're typically not looking at those factors. They're looking at, is this investment legal to accept in an IRA, and certain prohibited transaction rules, stuff like that. So it's good to know that a custodian, when you start working with an IRA custodian, they're not the same as a financial advisor. They're not the same as an expert in alternatives that maybe would put a hand on your shoulder and say, wait, I don't think this investment is best for you. It's really a legal check first, and then the client is analyzing that themselves. They might check with a financial advisor, a qualified professional. They might check with a CPA. And a lot of clients that are newer to the alternatives worlds, like you're saying, Mike, they might be used to high liquidity. They might be used to extremely vetted funds on these major platforms. I believe it's very important that you start building personal relationships in this space. If you are investing in real estate, let's say, it is extremely important that you verify who you're working with, check on personal relationships. I would call at least minimum 3 people. I would ask for referrals from that issuer, investors who have been with that client for a long time. And the reason for that is we deal with investments that are extremely highly regulated, high liquidity, many reporting requirements. And we also have clients come to us with deals that are very private, one person to one person, doing almost, years ago, this would almost just be a handshake deal. Now they're putting that in a legal document. Could be a very great investment opportunity, but doesn't have all the vetting that something at a major platform does. So in lieu of having all of that vetting, all of that reporting and transparency, sometimes you need to build that up through personal relationships, referrals, asking the issuer for all of their subdocuments, reviewing that subdocument and the projections in full. And that really is going to vary depending on what asset you're looking for. If it's like a hedge fund or a private equity deal where the business has been analyzed many times over, lots of numbers, compared to like a private real estate deal between maybe five investors. One GP, general partner leading the fund, and 4 limited partners. Those 4 limited partners entering in with that GP really need to make sure they feel confident doing business with that GP. If you call up a couple referrals and they say, look, bad news bears, I had a really awful time my last investment, and here's why, you should really take that in account and reconsider, do you want to work with this person?
Yeah, no, those are good points. So, this isn't investment advice, but it would sound like if you're just getting started, maybe better to start with the custodial relationship and get educated. That education in any investment asset class seems to be paramount. Curious if you have any like educational resources that you recommend to people. Like where can you
Yeah.
go to get your chops in
Mhm.
not only the alternatives market, but the benefits of the self-directed IRA in the alternative space.
Yeah, we did an amazing webinar. I believe it had 12 people on it because it was what I would consider a little bit more of a boring topic, but an incredibly important topic. Now, I pump up this webinar anywhere I go because I think it's very important. It was on due diligence. And that kind of talks for a full hour, goes over due diligence and alternative investment, all the different possible ways an investment can impact you, how you can check an investment as you're getting ready to enter it, and then also red flags if you see, with an issuer that you think, hey, maybe I should go and skip this one and go work with someone else. I always recommend watching that as a good primer if you are newer to the alternative space. And then we also have education for every single asset class. So a lot of times someone's coming to us as an investor because they're really an expert in one thing. They're excited to do that in our retirement account as well, but they don't have a lot of knowledge of the other assets. So they'll come to us as a real estate expert. They have never touched a bit of crypto or a private equity deal in their life. So we'll have issuers come on, do education, really try and give you a foundational basis of what the ins and outs of that asset are. And then, by the end of the webinar, we'll start talking about some advanced topics too. And those are times where clients can also freely ask questions as well. And what we hope is, if you come to us just knowing one asset, we hope it within the first year or two at Rocket Dollar, you might know 2 or 3 more and start to get them know them pretty well. So I always recommend those webinars. They're all on our YouTube channel, freely accessible. And there's also YouTube chapters where you can click on certain subjects there.
Got it. And you list them on your website as well, correct?
Yes, they're on our website in the resources section. And that resources section has been one of our best assets at Rocket Dollar. With a lot of, we have over 200 articles on there. We have probably over at least 60, 70 webinars. I've lost count of how many we've done. We do about at least once a month. And that has been a huge advantage for Rocket Dollar. Some of our clients have spoken up to is, hey, I visited other places and I can kind of read like 5 really brief articles. We've really wanted to make this information more accessible, how to do stuff inside of an IRA. And clients have spoken, that's often the thing that has held them back to doing these alternatives deals is a lack of information, a lack of transparency on the space, or just not knowing the rules on the space. And that's what we don't want people to not be intimidated by. So we have clients that come in very fresh, very new to the space. We teach them the basic rules of it. And then we have more advanced clients that want to do quite a few deals a year. They really like seeing those rules and that information right up on the website. They can go check it and they can take that information to them when they're doing the next few deals in their retirement account.
Yep. And for those on the broadcast today, I typed in the resource page of Rocket Dollar in the chat. For those of you watching, we'll post this webinar, this clever conversation on our LinkedIn, and it'll live evergreen on our YouTube channel and our Vimeo on our website. So you can email me or Brendan for any resources when it comes to education on this stuff. I know we're butting up on our time here, but before we go, I know till the end of June, Rocket Dollar has been nice enough to give everybody in the Regiment Ranger Nation the ability to save some money when they're first opening an account with Rocket Dollar. There's a passcode. There it is. Thank you, Drew, for bringing it up. These are the partner pages between Regiment Rocket Dollar, and the premium code expires July 1st is Regiment VIP. So if you have an interest in investing in alts through your self-directed IRA and you want to open one up, you save $360 using Regiment VIP. If you don't get to it before July 1st, you can still use Regiment 23, and that will get you $100 off at sign up. So, and I share that with everybody in Ranger Nation. If you have clients that want to invest through their IRA, this is a great way to save some money. Who knows who's going to become the next Mitt Romney that invests in, the private markets through their IRA and becomes very wealthy.
Yeah, and we have Peter Thiel and Mitt Romney now. Those are 2 stories that have been repeated heavily, and that's brought a lot of awareness to the space, and just a lot of people asking questions. But thank you for bringing up the discount codes, Mike. And some people ask, like, our silver account starts at $360 and $15 a month, and some people say, like, hey, why do you have such an aggressive discount going on right now? And the reason is, in this inflationary era, we've had a lot of our competitors raise prices, and that's brought a lot of frustration to not our clients, because sometimes they have an IRA somewhere else too, and they've kind of been asking, like, when is Rocket Dollar raising prices? And this is just kind of letting people know, hey, we're not. We have tried to make these accounts much more affordable and accessible. And then we also have a gold account as well. Those codes will still work. It's $600 to open and $30 a month. And that's just white glove service. We also offer some great benefits to that account you can see on our website for really active investors or investors who just want white glove service all the way from start to finish. So whether you're buying our silver or our gold, most of our clients are really happy with our support and helping them get into the alternative deals that they want to access. And we've tried to make that flat fee as well. So the more deals you do, the bigger your account grows in asset size. You're not getting charged, nickel and dimed with little fees every day, every week, every transaction that you do.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on today, Brendan, and continued success at Rocket Dollar. Thanks a lot.